More rain moves in while you sleep tonight and when the storms could become severe on Wednesday.
People in one Liberty neighborhood say they're left powerless every time it rains, why they say there's just no excuse.
Stuck in a very tight spot. How Independence firefighters briefly turned into wildlife rescuers.
And a very unwelcome surprise at the front door. KCTV5 News at 10 starts right now.
Now live breaking news from KCTV5 News.
How many kids were shot?
I don't know, Mom.
Okay, they aren't telling you anything. Okay, I just want you to listen to me. I want you to know I love you.
There's a lot of things wandering around our minds, like who could have done this? Why did it happen?
I would like to think I would be okay in an emergency, and apparently I'm not, because it's my child. And I don't think I'm going to be okay until I have him.
Another American community is facing grief, shock, and anger tonight.
And breaking right now, at least one student is dead. 5 others are in the hospital following a shooting at a school in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, just 7 miles away from Columbine. Here's what we know right now. The student who was killed is an 18-year-old man. 2 of the injured are in serious condition. 2 are in stable, and 1 is in good condition. Police say the 2 suspects, who are students at the K-12 charter school, walked in and began shooting fellow classmates in 2 classrooms. One of those suspects is a minor and 1 an adult. And now police are searching their homes as well as a car at the school.
Unfortunately, these are sights we've seen many times before. Children rushing out of school, hugging their parents as they finally feel safe again. And more parents huddling together, just waiting to see if their child will come running back to them safely. Listen to the phone call between one of those parents and her daughter still inside.
Where are you located right now?
Northridge Rec Center.
That's where they're taking you. Are they taking you in a bus? How are you getting transported there?
They're taking us, Mom. I don't know.
Where are you located right now at the school?
We're like in the front of the school before you turn into the drive-by.
They're not letting us go near the school, unfortunately, sweetheart. I just want you to remain calm and listen to me. Everyone is protecting you right now. How many kids were shot?
I don't know, Mom.
Okay, they aren't telling you anything. Okay, I just want you to listen to me. I want you to know I love you.
That is a parent's worst nightmare, and for the parents who were not reunited with their children, that child in particular who died, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible situation in Colorado.
Our morning team will be here tracking updates from Colorado all night long.
And to get breaking news alerts as they happen, make sure you've downloaded the free KCTV5 News app.
Also breaking right now, new information on President Trump's taxes. The New York Times got a hold of tax documents, but not the actual returns from 1985 to 1994. During that time, Mr. Trump's businesses reported losses of more than $1 billion. The Times says it appears that in each of those years, President Trump lost more money than almost any other individual U.S. taxpayer.
Right now, I'm tracking storms across Kansas, also some pretty low-level clouds. This is over in the Legends vicinity, and it looks like they're just barely higher than treetops. KB Complete CityCam giving us that beautiful shot there. This may or may not be beautiful to you. This radar image showing you showers moving in from the south. Now to the west, there are also additional storms, but around El Dorado Springs, and then now moving just to the south of Lowry City, scattered showers and storms. Now these storms to the west are moving east. Looks like they'll converge on Kansas City overnight, and just about sunrise, it's going to be a wet, messy drive into work. I'm tracking those storms overnight and more storms tomorrow, Ellen, some of which could potentially become strong or severe. That Storm Track 5 forecast is coming up in just minutes.
See you then. Thanks, Gary. How many power outages is too many?
How about 3 in the past 3 months? That's what happened in one local neighborhood that is getting people fired up. Betsy Webster has a closer look at the big picture.
What was once the Oddfellows Orphanage is now Belvoir Winery, which operates as an inn and event space. Guests were in the dark overnight for 4 hours last night. And just a few weeks ago, power went out during a wedding, setting off the fire alarms.
Wind and fury.
And the owner, metaphorically speaking.
It's come so often that we're just kind of reaching the point that we don't know what to do.
Almost every bout of storms.
Every big storm goes out or blinks or does something.
This went up on the Claywoods neighborhood Facebook page hours before the outage last night, predicting it.
It's frustrating when it happens over and over.
The tally for the year?
At least 12 times would be my guess.
Liberty's fire chief says he understands the frustration, but he also says it's not unique to this neighborhood. And KCP&L's spokesman says for an area with this many trees, in the grand scheme of things, the number of power outages isn't all that bad. He says KCP&L recorded 6 outages in the last year, half because of trees or wind, the other half from fuses or equipment. He says there could have been outages that lasted just a minute or two. They call that blinking, and they don't track it, but are now looking into it. It's the kind of thing that leaves traffic lights flashing and alarms blaring even after the power switch is back on. Well, this was the reaction to KCP&L's numbers from some neighbors on Facebook, neighbors who are clearly fed up.
We've been here a long time.
But neighbor Rich Godden, who's a retired AT&T lineman, shrugs it off as inevitable.
It comes down to money. Everything comes down to money. I mean, what are you going to do about it? You don't want your rates to go up. That's for sure.
Betsy Webster, KCTV5 News.
It is a milestone that can't be ignored. 800 children have now died inside hot cars since records were kept starting back in 1998. The latest, a Minnesota boy left in the back seat while his dad was at work. And the problem is only getting worse. A record 52 kids lost their lives last year. It only takes a half hour for the inside of a car to heat up to 120 degrees or more. Many car makers are now working on technology that reminds drivers to check their back seat before getting out of the car. Police in Wichita think drugs played a part in a crash that hurt 7 people. A bus tipped over on its side after being hit by a car. Some of the people on board are disabled or have special needs. The 17-year-old driver of the car was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence of drugs.
The man appointed to replace new Governor Laura Kelly in the state Senate has been arrested. Police say Vic Miller appeared drunk when they found him inside of his car early this morning. It was stopped in a ditch off I-70 in East Topeka. The Democrat was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. He posted bond and was released a short time later.
It is shaping up to be a bad week for 401ks and IRAs as trade tensions ramp up between the U.S. and China yet again. Officials say China is backing off some of the agreements made during trade negotiations. President Trump says tariffs on another $200 billion worth of Chinese goods will go into effect this Friday.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a surprise visit to Iraq as tension is rising with neighboring Iran. Intelligence officials are warning about the possibility of American troops being attacked in the area. To counter that threat, the U.S. is beefing up its military presence across the Middle East. So a number of B-52 bombers are heading to the area to help keep the peace. 50 professors at UMKC will not be returning to campus in the fall. They've taken a buyout and they'll retire before September the 1st. Faculty members had to be at least 62 years old and tenured to be eligible for the deal. 47% of those employees took the offer.
Star Wars isn't done yet. Disney is planning 3 new adventures in a galaxy far, far away. Fans are eagerly awaiting The Rise of Skywalker, which hits theaters on December 20th. After that, it'll be 3 years before Episode 10 is released, with Episode 11 and 12 following every 2 years. Star Wars has made more than $9 billion at the box office since the first movie was released way back in 1977. An animal attack caught on camera. The hidden danger right outside a front door and the rush to figure out whether it could be deadly coming up.
Plus a life and death situation for another animal in Independence. The team effort to get this baby fox back in the wild. Next at 10.
Well, we could see scattered thunderstorms coming in from the south early this evening and overnight, but this is what's coming in by morning. And yeah, that's a lot of water heading our way. I'll tell you what kind of a morning drive you're going to have and when the next wave hits us later in the day. That's all ahead in your Storm Track 5 forecast.
Move over bottled water. There's a new way to quench your thirst, and it's extreme, to say the least. The new drink with a frightening name still ahead.
KCTV5 News at 10 is back in 60 seconds.
Every once in a while, animals need a little help from us humans. From a kitten to a deer in a drain pipe, we've seen many species get stuck in tricky situations.
New at 10, Emily Rittman shows us who came to the rescue when this baby fox was outfoxed by a plastic fence post.
A couple who lives near 39th and Phelps here in Independence walked into the fire station number 2 asking for help. That's when an unusual rescue began.
Firefighters never know what their next call will be, but likely no one expected this. Just one look at this little guy or gal and you can see why the couple was concerned.
We tried just to wiggle the head out and it was stuck pretty good. We couldn't slide it out at all.
The fox had clearly worked to free itself with no luck.
He was very tired. You could tell he was trying to get his head out for a long time.
With protective gear on, firefighters got to work, carefully cutting.
I think he knew that we were there to help.
The guys used that to cut down and make the hole bigger, and we were able to slide the fox's head out.
And just like that, freedom.
He stayed pretty calm. I think he was just tired and everything. We were just happy we didn't get bit.
The tired fox seemed relieved too. If it could, maybe he or she would say thank you. Or I immediately regretted that decision. Or maybe. Before the baby ran back to its family, home surveillance captured what could be the fox's mom watching the rescue.
She stayed right behind a little fence and just kept peeking her head around to make sure that everything was okay with her baby.
We got a call. Thank you very much.
Reuniting a different kind of family was just one call these firefighters answered today.
These foxes live very close to our station, and we see them playing all the time in our yard, so it's kind of fun to be able to help out the neighborhood foxes.
Firefighters say today was a first. Of course, they've been called to rescue cats before, but this was their first fox rescue. Reporting from Independence, Emily Rittman, KCTV5 News.
And so cool that Mama was there watching it all happen as well. He was planning to visit a friend, but an unwelcome guest sent him to the ER instead. And you'll see why right here.
Ow! Kurt, take me to the hospital.
Oh, that is bad. Oh, man. Yep, right. Yep. Oh, Jarrell Haywood didn't see the snake wrapped around the porch light of his friend's house. When he opened the door, yeah, it bit him. So both men rushed to the hospital where they got some good news. The snake was not poisonous. And Jarrell, he got his revenge. The snake was killed following the attack.
I'm going to be a lot more cautious as I walk in the door tonight. Okay, would you drink something called liquid death? A lot of people are placing orders online, and the company behind this drink has raised just over $1.5 million to start production, despite the name, and a slogan which encourages people to, quote, murder your thirst. The drink is nothing more than water served in a tall boy. The National Park Service is hoping to thin crowds at the Statue of Liberty. It's banning commercial tours from going inside Lady Liberty. Officials say outside groups have caused overcrowding at one of the country's top tourist destinations. So if you have plans to visit, make sure you're booking a tour through the National Park Service.
It's been 4 years now since Mission Bowl went up in flames. But after all this time, the burned out building remains empty. One of our viewers asked, what's going on? Joe Chiodo found out in this week's Good Question.
A lot of people in the Kansas City area, and especially those in Mission, know that Mission Bowl on Martway is an eyesore. One of our viewers, Sid Gillespie, says it drives him crazy. He asked me to check up on what the building's future holds. City officials, though, are staying tight-lipped because right now, it turns out it's become a legal headache.
There's a certain nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
That rolls deep within the grains of each lane at a classic bowling alley.
Absolutely. Mission Bowl was a place to go.
Rick Ford has lived in Mission his whole life.
I mean, we had a lot of, 5-year-old and 6-year-old birthday parties that we went to there, and a lot of fun. I mean, they had the gutter things that would come up for the kiddos.
Today, you could say the building itself is in the gutter, a reminder of what once was before flames and smoke broke out in the kitchen, April 3rd, 2015. Nothing but the skeleton was spared. KCTV5 talked with the owners, Beverly O'Donnell, and her husband the day it happened.
It's just so emotional to see all the memories go down.
I broke down like a shotgun because that building has got so much blood, sweat, and tears in it. That insurance man cannot replace it.
The couple decided not to reopen. Now Ford is just hoping the lingering building will go away.
So that'll be a good day.
He owns a window treatment shop in Mission Mart. It just so happens the view out his window is what else but Mission Bowl.
And do you often hear from customers coming in to say, you know, what is happening with that old building? Do you know?
We do, and it's usually people that live around this area.
It was long, sort of a cornerstone, iconic business.
Mission City Administrator Laura Smith says she gets that question too. What will happen to this building?
I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you. The challenges for both the city and others who might be interested in redeveloping that are really tied up in that legal system right now.
You could call it Mission Bowl's final round, and it's a messy one. Mission Bowl hired a Wichita company to protect and secure the building following the fire. That company is National Catastrophe Restoration, or NCRI. The lawyer representing Mission Bowl tells me NCRI's work didn't properly protect the building and resulted in about $400,000 of additional damage from leaks. NCRI says that's not true and once paid close to $1 million for their work. Just recently, Mission Bowl filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. NCRI is now demanding a lien, saying they're entitled to the property. Beverly and her husband told me right now they can't legally comment, but it gets trickier from here.
The building and the land underneath it are owned by two separate people, so it creates a complicating situation.
Mission Mart owns the property the old alley sits on. Lawyers for Mission Mart tell me NCRI isn't entitled to anything on their end because they did work to the building, not the land. Right now, it can't be touched until the case is settled in state court.
I know that the property really has reached a point where it's of concern to the surrounding neighbors.
Absolutely.
While nothing could fill Mission Bowl's shoes, Ford says he'll hold on to the memories made, but is fine to do so without this view.
Whether it's apartments, condominiums, retail, restaurants, whatever it is going to be much, much better than what's there now.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we'll be able to give you an update maybe in a couple of weeks.
In Mission, I'm Joe Chiodo, KCTV5 News.
Well, let's jump right into it and have a look at the storms that are hitting the area, at least across central Kansas. And a few scattered lighter storms are just to the south of Kansas City. Kansas City is right here, but this is the big show that's going to be coming in late tonight and into the early morning hours tomorrow. Now, some of that intensity is going to be lost when these storms move into a slightly more stable atmosphere, but there's going to be plenty of punch left over, and you can see that the distance is being caught up now, about 141 miles away. It's moving in at about a 20 to 25 mile per hour pace, so that puts it 6.5 to 7 hours away from arriving with the heavier of the rains. I think we pick up rain certainly well before that. In fact, there's light rain right now moving into the southern part of the metro, but those heavier rains are still about 6.5 to 7 hours away, so that puts it in the pre-dawn hours arriving here, meaning that with a little thunder and lightning associated with that, you get another really early wake-up call. And we may have thunderstorms even into the evening hours tomorrow. So that means that you may have a really long day ahead of you tomorrow. 58 degrees, Kansas City, 57, St. Joe. We're being influenced by that cool air push from the north, while we still have a little bit of rich air to the south of KC at this hour. Tonight, there's a marginal risk for severe weather. Flash flooding and lightning will be the biggest threats from the rains coming in overnight. Isolated strong winds and large hail. Isolated, perhaps. But again, I think it's mostly a flooding event tonight. Here comes the rains. Notice when they arrive. This is about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then they weaken once they move into that slightly more stable environment. More rains then on Wednesday. And this cluster may not look like much to you, but those potentially could be our severe storms tomorrow. Let's get a look at that, too. This is the severe weather risk on Wednesday, putting Kansas City one notch higher into the slight risk. That means flash flooding, I think, as still the potential threat. That's the greatest. Damaging winds, large hail, also a possibility there. Rain, now this doesn't look very impressive. I think there's definitely potential to pick up between 1 inch and 2 in Kansas City, so I would go a little bit higher on that with temperatures that should bump up to about 70 at 4 o'clock. That's a little bit of added heat energy to feed into those storms to make them a little bit stronger tomorrow. Security Bank 7 days, 70 degrees Wednesday. One more really soggy, cloudy, rainy, stormy day. Then things really improve after that. 55 a cooler day Thursday, 65 Friday. Weekend, not much of a rain threat, and temperatures start to warm a little bit by early next week. What we need is a long, prolonged dry down period of time. Looks like we'll get that once we get through Wednesday. Brad, I'll have a final look at that weekend forecast coming up a few minutes ahead.
Okay, thanks, Gary. The Royals make history with their bats. Danny Welniak takes us to Houston for Game 2 against the Astros. Next in sports.
The Royals let another lead slip through their fingers last night against the top team in the AL West. Tonight in Houston, they weren't going to let that happen again.
Belted to right field. Ryan O'Hearn has a grand slam.
His first in the majors, and he does it in his home state, putting the Royals up 6-0. But it's not over. 2 grand slams in one game for Kansas City, just the second time in franchise history. Whit Merrifield this time in the 8th to put the Royals up 12-1. And a birthday present for his dad. Ned Yost gets his 700th win as the Royals manager, and another good start for Danny Duffy, getting his first win of 2019. Well, there's nothing in sports like a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. St. Louis Blues and Dallas Stars fans treated, or I guess tortured, with that tonight.
And in across to Dunn. Dunn with a shot. He scores.
Vince Dunn picks a really good time to score his first goal of the playoffs. A trip to the Western Conference Finals on the line. It is tied at 1 in overtime still. 9 high school tennis players were recognized tonight for earning college scholarships. Twin sisters, Chloe and Ellie Kuckelman, were the Kansas state champions at Blue Valley North, and both received full scholarships from Nebraska.
You walk right over the mat that has Jack holding that putter up in his hand like this, going, whoa. I watched it.
The Tom Watson Challenge is June 21st through the 23rd, and the annual press conference today was another opportunity to reminisce. This year, it's hosted by the Nicholas Golf Club at Lionsgate. 4 baseball legends will be forever enshrined in the Negro Leagues Baseball Hall of Fame.
As we revealed today, this class, one word, I kept trying to figure out how to characterize this group, and one word kept coming back to my mind, and that was electrifying.
The class of 2019 will be inducted during ceremonies at the Gym Theater on Saturday, June 29th at 8 p.m. And here they are, All-Star and Gold Glover Eric Davis, 5-time All-Star Fred McGriff, 1978 NL MVP Dave Parker, and 1989 World Series MVP Dave Stewart. Well, Bill Self and his Jayhawks land a top 50 recruit tonight. A 6'10" senior guard / forward out of Utah, Tristan Anaruna, made the announcement over Twitter. He chose KU over Creighton and Miami. Well, KCTV5 News will be back after this, but first we want to show you one of our favorite moments from today's Locker Room Show. Make sure to join us every weeknight at 7 o'clock on KSMO, and tonight, Kansas City star utility player Blair Kirchhoff joined us. Do you think that any of these rookies could start on day one?
Could. I think the player with the best opportunity to start is Juan Thornhill, the defensive back, starting at free safety. It's been since Chris Jones that the Chiefs have had a defensive player start the majority of games as a rookie.
The rain is out of here in time for the weekend. That's the good news. Just a slim chance for a shower late Saturday. Hey, we have a big race out there at the Kansas Speedway this weekend. Enjoy that. And I mean, it will be perfect for the 400-mile race on Sunday. Mother's Day events going on all over, including at the Kansas City Zoo. Moms get in free, and a free beverage with that, too. And in the Northland, the Mother's Day 5K, 10K run. So if Mom wants to get out the jogging shoes or the running shoes, she's got someplace to go.
Wait, and a free drink?
Free drink at the zoo. Yes, exactly.
All in.
Thanks for watching here at 10.